Welcome to MarketPulse, Pros and Pioneers. Each week, we talk with industry leaders in both marketing and entrepreneurship and business to find out all about their wins and failures in marketing. Right now, we'll hear all about their successes and wins and what's fallen flat so that you can take that knowledge and implement it. Learn from the best, from the folks who've been there and done it all, as well as people just like you. Thanks for joining us. This is MarketPulse, Pros and Pioneers.
And good afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of MarketPulse Pros and Pioneers. This week I'm happy to be joined by Ovi Nagrian from SocialBee. He's the founder of the business who recently celebrated their 8th birthday. And congratulations on reaching 8 years with running your own business, Ovi. How does that feel?
Thanks. It really feels amazing. I remember the first few years when it was always a surprise that we got to the next year, because also I remember as I was telling the team, I think during the 5th anniversary, like there are so few companies that make it to the 2nd or 3rd year, and even at the 5-year mark, companies still keep dying off. And to be able to be here at 8-year anniversary with the team, which many of them have been with us for quite some time now, it was quite a happy day.
I can imagine it was. And for those who's watching along that come along and watch the podcast every week, SocialBee is based in Romania, right?
Yeah, we consider ourselves a global company. Also, since COVID, everybody is remote. We still have an office, but people don't want to go to the office anymore. But yes, most people are based in Romania. Me, myself, I'm based in Frankfurt in Germany, but most of the team is based in Romania.
Of course. So, I think you've had a fascinating journey, and you're right. 8 years is an amazing achievement. I'm probably 15 months into my own journey on that, and I'd love to get to the point where we're celebrating 8 years, and it's quite an experience running your own business and lots of challenges out there. And I know a lot of our audience are themselves small business owners who are just kind of trying to do the right sort of marketing. I would love to understand a little bit more about that, sort of the early days with SocialBee, because what I see now is a business that is very engaged with its customers. You have a customer success team that visibly believe in the mission that you guys are on. How did that all start off? What was the starting point for you guys?
We actually started together with my co-founder Vlad on a different project. It was called Nugget, and it was an app that brought quotes from business and personal development books. And in the process of creating Nugget, we used some social media techniques, and then we built some internal tools to share that content on social media and to engage with the audience that was relevant to us. Back then, it was very heavy Twitter oriented, but it was more about social media in general. And at one point, people started asking us, what have we been doing to grow on social media? Because it was working quite nicely for us. And at the same time, we managed to grow the app, but it was very hard to turn into a business. It was more a vitamin than a painkiller.
Hi, and thanks for joining us for the show. I'm Paul, founder here at Javelin Content Management. We specialize in getting ideas out of your head, down into video, and out to your social media through repurposing and efficient content strategies. If you want to find out how you can convert your ideal audience into paying customers, reach out to us, javelincontent.com, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
And because we were bootstrapped and we were running out of money, we decided, let's see if we can sell this other thing. And when we saw that we were able to get initial customers from a very, very rudimentary version, which was Google Sheet integrated with Zapier and posting through Buffer and manually onboarding each new customer. So it was definitely not a scalable and not a pretty process. But as people were willing to pay even for such a rudimentary solution, we knew that we were onto something. So we just focused on social business. And since then, basically, we built up the app in a way that we don't rely on Zapier and integrations for many years now, but we do provide those integrations so people can get more value with integrating other apps as well.
That's a fantastic story. And so kind of, building an app out of necessity for your own needs. But I guess, when I think back to 8 years ago, I can't think of many, if any, social media scheduling platforms or social media enablement tools that were out that were anywhere near decent at that point in time. So I think you absolutely kind of hit it right at the right time. You guys felt the need yourself and then did something about it. That's fantastic. business lesson for all of us, I think, is, if you can be the end user, you build what you would have wanted to have and then flesh that out. So I guess what is the mission for SocialBee then? Because you guys have matured into a quite decent sized business now. You've got a lot of users globally. But I know that's not the end point of where you guys want to go. What's the ultimate goal for SocialBee?
We're really trying to make sure that our customers spend less time on social media and get better results. Of course, they can spend time on social media because they like to, but when it comes to managing their own social media profiles, we try to make sure that we save as much time and to make sure that they can stay consistent with their posting, which we know will then end up to bring better results. And to do so at a price point which is a good price point, because most of our customers are small and medium businesses, and we really love being a champion for these small and medium businesses to help them grow as much as possible. And of course, social media is the main thing that we're doing, but in our content and in our marketing, we're trying to grow the spectrum of the things that we're trying to teach maybe, or how we can help in such a way that we touch upon more of the marketing aspects which a small company has to do.
Yeah, that definitely aligns with what I see as an end user. So I use SocialBee for our accounts and for our clients, and I definitely see that from our side of things, is that you guys, because you're focused on that mission of helping small businesses get to scale up their social media campaign, I think you can see that because you guys it's not just a tool anymore, it's the training elements, the SocialBee University that you've got running along the side of it. It's enabling the agencies to be accredited SocialBee agents and kind of supporting your customers. And you sort of like, again, a lot of businesses would have gone the route of, we just want to build the tool out because the tool's great, the tool's brilliant. But I think it's great to see that you guys have moved beyond that boundary, and I'm sure that was really complex to do, move beyond that boundary to offer that additional support because it supports your mission of working with entrepreneurs. To move on a little bit, so there's been obviously a lot of interest in AI over recent years. Lots of developments in the large language model and generative AI and things like that. And I noticed that you guys kind of dipped into it a little bit, but didn't go crazy with it. It felt very intentional when you did move into it. What do you see as being the future with AI and social media and kind of balancing that human interaction?
So for sure, AI is here to stay, and hopefully it will make our lives better in many ways. And hopefully it won't end up destroying the human race, as some people think. But as we are now looking into AI, we know that it's a productivity tool, and us trying to save time for our customers, we for sure want to help them also with this AI part. So even from the beginning, when ChatGPT 3.5 was launched and the API was open, we started integrating AI into our app. And now basically we're trying to have release every other week, and we're trying as much as possible in every release or every other release to have an AI feature included. And we started with the post editor, where we actually created hand-curated a list of over 1,000 prompts split into different categories for you to get started to generate posts from this prompt for your social media profile, to a more recent feature where basically once you have a social media post, either if you created it yourself or through AI, you'll be able to customize that for each social network individually with just one click. Then we have our social media copilot, where we ask you 7 or 8 questions, and then based on those answers, we generate a full social media strategy for you, and so on. And I know that we're just scratching the surface with what can be done with AI, but we're trying as much as possible to stay really up to speed with everything that's new in AI, and to implement AI as much as possible into SocialBee in a way that helps the experience and helps drive even better results. So for example, we also started just with social media posts, but then now we're also creating social media images. I'm sure at one point we will also be creating videos, and everything will nicely come together as more and more AI features are available, both by the big providers of AI APIs, but then also us who are integrating these APIs to make the lives of our customers easier.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's an interesting use case, and I see a lot of people rather than trying to make themselves more efficient, just kind of being lazy with their social media. And I'm a big believer that you've garbage in, garbage out, and if you don't put anything in, you're not going to get anything of value out either. And I like the idea of being able to take that. That's really powerful. I write a post, and then a platform can reposition that in tone of voice for my business account or for my, because again, like, they don't get a lot of traction. They're not really where the views and engagement are, and it's much easier to imitate that brand voice. You can't imitate a person's voice and a personal voice. So, using it for ideation for personal posts is perfect. I know that you guys are passionate about helping startups grow. Part of your success story really encouraged you to focus on small to medium businesses. Why did you focus specifically on that rather than trying to grow and become another, let's say Hootsuite or wherever? Why did you focus on small to medium?
I think we almost stumbled upon this segment by necessity, but we were lucky to to be in this place. First of all, because we're also a small business, we're also a startup to some extent, and I'm also like advising other startups, and I really love this space. I love helping entrepreneurs and small businesses. I think they're really the place where innovation starts. And then sure, some of these companies turn into becoming a big corporate. I worked for a few corporates in my life, but it was never like my preferred cup of tea. But we see that startups and small businesses in general, they really also like can use all the help that they can get, both in terms of what to do, tools to be more efficient, and also to do that at a price point where they can afford it. Because of course, big corporates can afford massive price stickers, but small businesses have really to take care of each money that goes out of their pocket each month. So that's why we're really trying to make sure that there's always a good ROI with what we're doing, and that we try to add more features without always increasing the prices. We try to help them because we really also like interacting with them. We love our customers. We love talking with them in calls or like also over email and so on. And we do as much as possible to try to support them.
I love that. And just to kind of dig a little bit deeper on that, I know your customer success team really do make an extra effort. It's one of the reasons why I love representing you guys like as an affiliate and sharing your platform wherever I get the opportunity. How have you managed to create that culture within your customer success team that they are so passionate about interacting with customers and supporting them? What have you done? What would you say was the key to creating that environment?
Well, I think with any team, it starts from hiring, and you need to make sure that you hire based on the values that you're having, and to hire the types of people that you would like to work for, and the types of people that you would like to basically be also the face of your company. Because each of my colleagues at one point or in some aspects are the face of our company. And then it's also about trying to instill a culture of doing the right things in the way that you would like them to do. So, for example, we have our values that are clearly written down, and we try to remind people of them. We have also like all sorts of internal phrases that we're saying to remind people of the things that are important to us. We highlight the good parts that we see happening. We also love it when our customers reply, and sometimes they just write me personal notes to say how much they like the interaction with a colleague or another one, and I always share those notes with the team so we can celebrate that together. So over time, this culture emerges, and then it's also important to see that if there are people who are not in line with that culture, to maybe get them in line, or to try to help them find a place where they would be a better fit for that other culture. And also to making sure that it's something that is a culture that self-replicates. So basically, it also says that a culture is what happens when you're not in the team, or like when you're not in the room, when the manager is not in the room, the same thing should happen. And most of the team, we've been working together for quite some time. We like grew up together in this project. That's why it's also easier for everybody to work in the same way and to really dedicate themselves to our customers. Because especially now in the day of AI and in the time where technology is somehow easier and easier to build, so all of the platforms will have more or less the same functionality over time. It's really important to have a customer success team, which is like real humans who are treating their customers as real humans, and to try to help, but also try to be empathic, which is something that AI might mimic, but won't be able to be that.
Yeah, yeah. I can see that. Like, yeah, it reflects well in your team. It really is a testament. I guess the next question I would love to ask you then, and I'm gonna tailor this a little bit to social media specifically. What is one thing that you see businesses doing right now that you wish they would just kind of stop doing? Is there anything that really gets you on your soapbox and annoys you about marketing in social media today?
I think the thing that you also mentioned, the fact that companies are churning out posts, like lots of them, just because it's easy to, especially nowadays with a very quick AI prompt, and then they just like blast those across their social profiles without adding more thoughts to it. Just like you said, garbage in, garbage out, which then will mean that they won't have engagement. They won't have anybody who gets to understand that brand a bit more. Because marketing in general is also about getting people to like, know, and trust you, so then they can eventually buy your product or service from you. But it starts from you really being like open and being authentically yourself. And it's okay, most people won't like you, but you don't need most people to start a business or to have a successful business. You just need to find that crowd that is really a good fit for what you're trying to offer.
Perfect. It's a really good answer. It's a really good answer. I can imagine that building the tools that you guys have, if that's in the back of your mind, then that's something that you want to try and limit people doing by the nature of how you build the tool as well, right?
Yeah, as much as possible, we're trying to guide our users in the right direction, to offer them like suggestions based on their profile of how many times they should be posting, which social network should be they focusing on, because not all social networks are relevant for all types of businesses. At what times should they be posting, at what types of content as well. And especially with the AI part and with SocialBee Copilot, we got to a very good place where we can recommend this. We will have more improvements to do this even better in the future, but it's already in a good spot with it.
Fantastic. And then I guess to flip that question on its head, what's one thing that you wish businesses would start doing more of? What's the thing that you see people, successful people, I guess, are probably already doing these things, but what do most businesses miss out in their marketing, in your eyes?
Unfortunately, this won't be a hack or a quick fix, but I think it's consistency, which is more important. And consistency because of multiple reasons. One is that, sure, if you are there day in and day out on social media, on your marketing channels and so on, people will start notice you. But even more important than that, consistency, which is also linked with trying to understand or learn from what you did, which will then lead to improvement. That's basically the key. We know like this big successes like Mr. Beast that has like hundreds of millions of views and so on. But most people don't know that he was posting for years before he got to that level of popularity and that level of views. And in those years, the consistency part meant that he was trying new things. He was trying to learn how to do things better, how to what his voice is, what he should be focusing on, what resonates with his audience, and so on. And by doing that day in and day out, you will become better, and the result will show up. It's just that it's easy because you just need to do it, but it's also hard because it takes time, and you also just need to be happy to do it. So it's not like a quick fix.
Yeah, it's hard because most people didn't set out business to be in social media. the majority of businesses out there, you set out with a good idea, with a passionate idea to do something, and social media is something that you need to do in order to be successful at that and generate revenue and leads and interest and a community, I guess. So anything that can kind of help fast forward that and get us where we need to be, so we can concentrate on what our passion is and what our a real goal of the business is, which is you guys have done. So I noticed that in the recent newsletter for SocialBee, you guys are now sharing general advice about news and updates in the social media industry in general. So what's changed on Twitter or X as it is now, what's changed on TikTok, how are you what are the new features that are being made available, what algorithm changes have been made. What do you see as being the next evolution for social media? So we've already kind of touched on AI and AI generated videos and images and things like that. What do you see as being the next thing that's kind of bubbling away now, but might be popular over the next couple of years?
So one thing that we see is how rapidly all of these networks are and also to some extent copying each other's ideas, and how each network is also trying to come up with new things, but then if it works, everybody else keeps copying them. So also for us as a platform, it takes so much time just to implement all of these new features for the social network, which is something that we definitely do. But then one thing that we're seeing in social, and one thing that I'm looking at more and more, is the AI part, but to an even higher level. So currently we're still following many influencers and many brands and so on, but those are mostly their brand, but they're influencers, mostly they're real human beings. But more and more we're starting to see AI influencers, like avatars that really don't exist. Some really look like humans, and it's really crazy how human-like they look nowadays, and it's just going to get better and better. And especially as also social networks are going to go even more into tailoring content to you and mass customization, we can definitely envision a place where you can have an AI influencer that really just speaks to you. And that's going to also be crazy. Like, I love living in these times with so much change, because I like just to see how the world evolves. But it's going to be also challenging for regular human influencers or for brands to see how they can adapt. We'll see how that will play out. I don't think people will just love one or the other. It's going to be a mix. But as with all the technology, we need to embrace it, because it will be here to stay, and we just need to learn how to use it and to harness the power for ourselves.
I think there's a possibility there to create a really personalized social media environment for people. So no longer I see a lot of people complaining about their feed on LinkedIn, for example, how it doesn't, it's boring. Like mine's the same. I look at LinkedIn and I see boring, great post in the middle of it all. And I'd love to see AI and AI avatars creating content that speaks to me, to what I'm interested in, if that's, if it's feasible, if it's possible, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's an exciting point, but also a dangerous point for a lot of social media. I guess you've got the main social media platforms out there, and generally what I see in technology is when you've got so many big players competing in such a competitive space, sooner or later either acquisitions happen or big businesses go by the wayside because of things that have happened. So definitely one to keep an eye on over the coming years. Ovi, it's been fantastic chatting with you on the podcast this afternoon. I've really enjoyed hearing a little bit about the story behind SocialBee and where you guys are going in the future. If anybody wants to reach out, if they've got some ideas or they're curious about the product, how can they find SocialBee and how can they speak to you direct?
It was a pleasure for me as well. Thanks for having me, and thanks for being a SocialBee fan and supporter as well. You can just visit SocialBee.com. That's the main hub for everything that we do. And for me directly, you can connect with me on LinkedIn or just email me directly. I really love to hear from our customers or from people who are interested in the space. My email is just ov@socialbee.com, and I really love hearing from everybody.
You genuinely do respond to all your emails. I can vouch for it because I've emailed a couple of times as well. I'll make sure all the information's in the show notes for anybody who wants to reach out and find out a little bit more. I'll make sure all the information's in there for everyone. And yeah, thank you very much for being a fantastic guest, Orvi. And if you've been watching along or listening along at home, I will see you next week for the next episode of MarketPulse.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to feature on a future show, or you've got some ideas for folks who would make a great guest, please drop us a line. The contact details are in the show notes. We'd love to hear from you. Your host today was Paul Banks, founder at Javelin Content Management. Javelin specializes in helping busy business owners just like you to repurpose video content, taking all the stress and tech problems away, and turning your long-form video into literally hundreds of pieces of content without breaking the bank. If you want to launch your personal brand, become the vendor of choice for your audience, or maximize your sales revenue impact, we'd love to hear from you. Join us next week for the next episode, and don't forget to give us a subscribe and a review. Our podcast is only possible with your support.